Hello, got a girl. How are you? Let me turn the volume on here. There we go. Hopefully you hear that. Just been thinking a lot this week. Let me ask you this. What if you knew what was going on right now? You knew where it was heading. How would you feel? So, in other words, the world is turning and you don't know where it's turning to or what's going to happen. But what if you knew where it was going? Would you be more at ease? Or would you just say, hey, I know where it's going, regardless if you feel like, okay, where it's going, I don't know how that's gonna look like, but I have some idea. Would you be more at ease with what's happening right now? The pandemic that's causing so much more. The pandemic that's causing more pandemic. How would you feel? How would you handle the whole situation? Because they said every so many years we go through, our bodies go through changes, or at least cells. We generate new cells, which is essentially, something inside of us or within us change. The only difference is sometimes it doesn't physically reflect that, and sometimes, for some of us, it doesn't necessarily show up in our behaviors, right? How would we handle those things if we knew whatever is happening at this moment, we had some type of control, or at least some better understanding of what's to come? How would you act? How would you change? How would you behave? How would you act? Because I think too often, because we don't know, excuse me, because we don't know where things are going, or what to expect, even we don't know where they're going, but the expectations that we have of what may come or what may not come with those changes often is what causes us to go through more fear, which affects us mentally, physically, and emotionally to do things we would otherwise do. So my question for you is, as you go through this pandemic and as whatever else that may come with it, whether it's lack of buying food, or finding enough food to buy, not working, and then dealing with anything else that it brings more of, whether it's going through abuse, or whether it's dealing with mental health issues, or whether it's being on the streets, or whether it's not knowing that drives you crazy. If you could control, or at least have some understanding of one of those things that's affecting you the most, so whatever it is, maybe it's not being able to connect to a parent, who doesn't have a phone, or a family member who's overseas that's sick but you can't be there, whatever that may be. What if you would have this calmness? I know it's a big what if, regardless of what's happening right now or what the pandemic is causing. What if you could just take a deep breath and say, hey, I'm powerless at this time, and here's how I'm going to deal with it? What would you do? Because let's face it, the world is turning. And the big difference is, for those who had access or preview to what was coming before us, I think their actions, right, ultimately will be judged by whoever. But for those of us who didn't know it was coming or had no clue, Now we're having to deal with the reality, just like those who knew it was coming. They didn't take preventive measures. And some things, I don't know if you can take preventive measures, but there's the warning, right? There are ways you can go about warning people. But whether our leaders did that on time or didn't do it on time, the reality is the problem is here. Now we are our own leaders having to decide how do we deal with it, because everyone's situation right now is unique to them and their family. But if you had absolutely no control, and I mean absolutely no control, what would you do? How would you cope? Would you just stand still, do what you can, and deal? And how would you do that? And I think that is, it sounds simple, but it's a tough question, because I think it's hard when you know, or at least to be able to accept the fact that you do have no control, right? You may have the money, you want to go grocery shopping, or you want to go to a restaurant, you can. Or maybe if you're wealthy, you want your chef to come and cook, they can't. You want to be able to go to a certain place, you can, but the likelihood of you being affected or something happens, of course, that's the risk that you have to deal with. And the reality is, knowing your hands are tied, you just gotta say, hey, there's nothing I can do. How would you cope? I'd like to know that. Because the world is turning, whether we like it or not. Our fears, no fears, however you feel, this is a time for each person to really say to themselves, or at least try to, if you have young ones, try to encourage them, or any other family member for that reason, try to encourage them or try to let them know. I think talking to people, making them aware, especially young ones, making them aware that, hey, this is where we are, this is our reality, and this is how we're gonna cope. I think some children are doing better than adults, but and maybe that's where we get our cues. I don't know. Maybe that's where we get our clues to really see, hey, how are they doing and what are we providing. But I think and I'm not saying I'm not scared, okay? I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying don't be scared, right? But I think the reality of being scared and knowing that there's nothing you can do takes it up here. And all I'm saying is, what if, and how can we deal with the fact that we have no control? Okay? I like to know. Thank you. Subscribe. Stay tuned.